2000 through 2006 Toyota Tundra emergency brake pedal assembly replacement. I'm Brian Esser from How to Automotive. I'm going to walk you step by step through the process of replacing the pedal. We're going to get started by removing this molding on the bottom of the door spill here. It's held on with a couple Phillips screws. Remove those screws and then set aside. Now we're going to remove the kick panel here on the left. So there's going to be a screw here that you're going to remove, a little plastic nut actually, and then what we're going to do is we're going to pull from the bottom and pull it up and kind of rotate it out, and then at the top here you're going to have to pull the plastic molding off. It's just all held on with clips. So go ahead and pop this panel off and set aside for now. One of the symptoms that this brake pedal is happening, if you operate it slowly it works fine, but if you do it with any speed it won't catch. So I spoke to the dealer and they said that the pedal assembly has little teeth on there that wear out. The pedal assembly also comes in two separate pieces. So when I spoke to the dealer, they said this is the part number that's most commonly of the failure part. So we went ahead and ordered it. So we're going to go ahead and get this disassembled and verify that this is the problem. So next you need to remove the knee bolster panel here. It's underneath the steering column. There's going to be four 10mm screws that you're going to remove. So there's going to be two on the left and two on the right side of the panel. Once you get these four screws removed, then what you're going to do is you're going to grab the panel here and just kind of pull outwards. It has also clips at the top, so you're going to pull just like this, and then you're going to do that for both sides of the panel here and pull it off and set it aside. One thing I forgot to mention is the hood lease switch here. It's held on with two Phillips screws. Go ahead and remove those, and then you can pull the cable off and set the whole panel aside. After that, we're going to take this air duct that goes across here. We can just pull that out and set that aside for now. Now at the bottom of the pedal assembly, there's going to be a 12mm bolt here and here that we're going to remove. And then if you look through here, you'll see the a third 12mm bolt here that we need to remove. Before we remove the bolts, there's a little electrical switch that's on the park brake here that lets you know that it's operating. We need to unplug that. It's a brown colored switch here, so I'm just going to use a little flat blade screwdriver here and kind of press the tab and unplug it. Now that you got the switch unplugged, we're going to go ahead and remove the top bolt first. I'm using an extension. I'm also using my little impact gun here. You can use hand tools to do this, but go ahead and remove the top bolt first. And then once we get the top bolt removed, then we'll start removing the lower two. So once again, I'm using a long extension with a 12mm socket and my impact gun here to remove these two. So you see the one on the right and then one on the opposite side of the pedal here. You can see it back there in the back. Go ahead and remove those two bolts. Once you get those two bolts removed, those three bolts, there's a fourth bolt right back there in the back a little bit on the left-hand side of it. So we need to remove that fourth bolt, and then the pedal assembly will come down. To get to it, I used a wobbly socket and a long extension to remove that fourth bolt. And then once you get that fourth bolt removed, then you can start pulling the pedal assembly down here. Next, we need to disassemble the pedal assembly to get the cable off and get it free. To get this all apart, we're going to remove the 10mm bolts holding the adjuster, and they're also going to remove this spring that we see right here. I'm using a little hook tool like this. You just grab it and then pull the spring and unpull it off the little catch right here. It doesn't have a whole lot of pressure. It's really lightly on there. You can probably even do it by hand. Once you unhook the spring like this, you can either pull it off or leave it there. You can also go ahead and remove the 14mm nut there, and then we're going to back these 10mm nuts off the adjuster here all the way off. They're jam nuts, so there's two of them, so you may have to back it up with a wrench and then remove the outside nut first, and then after you get the outside nut, then you can remove the inside nut. Now where the cable enters into the pedal, there's a little clip that holds the cable in, so we need to use a pair of pliers and give this a little twist and pull this little clip off. Once you get the clip pulled off, you can pull the cable back and then pull it up like this, and that pulls it out of the little catch there. Now what we need to do is remove this 14mm nut that's going through the center of the pedal here. So we'll go ahead and remove the nut and push the bolt through on the opposite side. So once you get the bolt off, then you can just push it through or pull it through the opposite side like this. Now you can pull the pedal assembly out of the other half of the bracket. So you'll just separate the two by pulling it apart. Once you get the pedal portion of it removed, then to get the cable off the pedal, we need to bend this little metal tab that's right here. We need to bend that up, and then the cable will slide out of the pedal. So looking at my pedal assembly, the gears on it are in perfect shape, so the dealer was wrong and it was not this part that was worn out. It's going to be the inner part, and of course we don't have it. So I also tried contacting the dealership to see if this part was available, and it's on back order. So unfortunately what I'm going to have to do is reassemble the old pedal assembly and put it back in the car, and then we'll try to get the customer back. But I went ahead and filmed this because doing this is the exact same process of replacing a new part or putting the old part back in. So I went ahead and filmed it for you guys to walk you through the steps of replacing this pedal assembly. So if you got a new part, it would come in two pieces like this. So I'm going to walk you through the process of reassembling it and putting it back in. The first thing we're going to do is put the cable back into the pedal. Once you got the cable stabbed back in, go ahead and start the jam nuts back on it. And you also want to make sure that these bushings here on the pedal don't fall out. And you're going to rotate the cable back around, and then you're going to bend that little metal tab back over. So when you bend the tab, it's going to look like this, and that'll hold the cable into position. Now what we can do is slide the pedal back into the other half. So you kind of just line it up and put it in there the same way you took it out. Now you can take the bolt and push it through the bolt, and then on the opposite side you're going to start the nut. The bolt slides through the left side of the bracket, and the nut will be on the right side, and the right side is towards the brake pedal and gas pedal. So go ahead and put that nut on and tighten it down, and then what we're going to do is take this cable here and put it back into the little right here. So you pull it past and then push it in, and then put the clip back on right here. The nut doesn't have to be super tight, just snug. I don't have a torque spec for it. I couldn't locate that for you. So you'll make sure that that clip is back into position. And then we're going to install the spring. So you hook the spring back onto the little hole here, and then you're going to hook it onto the little port right there. Now the pedal is reassembled and ready to lift back into position. Now you'll lift the pedal back into position and start the 4 bolts. I like to start the 2 bottom bolts first. I like to start all 4 bolts by hand. Start the bottom ones first, and then you can start the 2 top ones. Once you got all 4 bolts started by hand, then you can tighten them all down. I wanted to point out that the pedal has this little ear right here, and when you lift it up into position, it's going to hook into a hole on the back of the firewall here. So if you look up there, you'll see the hole. So that ear will hook in there, and that'll kind of hold the pedal into position. So you'll lift it up into position, tighten the bolts down. Once you get that all tightened up, now we need to adjust the park brake cable here. So you're going to run this 10mm nut in until all the slack is out of the cable. You don't want to over tighten it because that'll pull the emergency brake cable, causing the emergency brakes to engage. So just do it until this slack is removed. Then you can tighten the second jam nut. After that, we're going to plug in the electrical connector, the little brown wire here. So we'll plug that back in. So once you get the park brake switch plugged in, the next step is going to be to put the air duct back in. So you're going to hook one in on the side here. So you'll install it like this, and then you'll hook the other end up here. Once you got that hooked up, we'll put the lower panel back on. You just put it on and push it into place, and then you'll start the 4 mounting screws and go ahead and secure that. Now we can put the hood latch cable back in. So you'll feed it through like this, and then you'll start the 2 Phillips screws that held it in place that came from underneath. Once you get that panel secured, the next is going to put the side panel here on. So you'll feed it around like this, and then you'll line everything up and just push it on. It has all held on with clips, so you just line it up and then you push on until everything clips into place. Then you'll start the little nut on the side. Now you can install the threshold panel here. It just lines up, push it on, and then start the 4 mounting screws. And that'll complete the job of replacing the park brake pedal on a 2000 through 2006 Toyota Tacoma. I'm Brian Esser from How To Automotive. I'd like to thank you guys for watching my videos. Encourage you to subscribe. Invite you to head over to the howtoautomotive.com website for more valuable videos like this. I also wanted to share with you guys that I have a tool store, and I'll leave a link for it in the description of the video. Thank you again for watching.